Fatiha. السلام عليكم. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم والصلاة والسلام على رسولنا محمد سيدنا الأولين والآخرين. مدد يا رسول مدد يا سيد أصحاب الرسول مدد يا مشايخنا لستون ولا شاء الله قاز ناصر شيخ محمد لنا كان مدد طريقتنا والصحبة والخير في الجمعية. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. يحبون تشال فاحش ولدهم لهم عذاب أليم أو صدق الله العظيم. Allah Azze ve Celle buyuruyor. Bu kötü amelleri, günahları müminler arasında yaymaya seven insanlar,
Allah Almighty says and commands about those people who like to spread bad deeds and sins among the believers,
onlara ahirette büyük azap var.
that there will be great punishment for those who spread bad deeds and sins among the believers.
Onlara Allah'ın gadabı var.
The wrath and anger of Allah Almighty is upon them,
Onlar iflah olmaz.
and they will not be successful,
Çünkü istedikleri kötülükten başka şey değil.
what they desire is to spread badness, and what they intend is nothing but badness.
Günah kötülüktür,
Sins are bad.
iyilik değil.
Sins are nothing good.
İyilik günahtan sakınmaktır.
Goodness means to refrain oneself and to abstain from sins.
Günah her türlü günah yani kötülüktür.
Sins are bad, and every kind of sins are bad, whether minor or major.
Küçüğü var, büyüğü var tabi.
There are minor sins, there are major sins too,
Ona tövbe edip istiğfar etmek,
and whatever we may commit, we are always required to ask Allah Almighty for forgiveness and pardon.
ondan kurtulmak demektir.
And we are always in a position to save ourselves from our sins and ask Allah Almighty for forgiveness regardless of whether we committed a small or a major sin.
Yok, sen günaha müptelasın, onu Allah'tan af dileyip
When you are afflicted by a sin, when you are in a situation where you commit a sin, you cannot escape it, then you must ask Allah Almighty for forgiveness, certainly.
açık olarak yapmamak senin için iyidir.
And if you can't avoid committing that sin, you must ask Allah Almighty for forgiveness, and you should not expose your wrongdoing.
Peygamber sallallahu aleyhi ve sellem buyuruyor, "Zabtülüttüm bil masi festatiru." Günahlara iptila olursanız kendini saklayın.
When you are struck by a sin, our beloved Prophet, peace and blessings be upon him, says that don't expose it, keep it secret.
Aşikar etmeyin.
Don't make it be evident and observable by others.
Yani o günahı sen sitredersen Allah Azze ve Celle kıyamet günü sitreder.
If you cover the sin, then Allah Almighty will cover that sin for you too on the day of judgment.
Ama şeytan bilakis bunu açık olsun ister.
But Shaitan wants the complete opposite. He wants you to expose your sin and to make your sin to be apparent to everyone,
Herkes yapsın ister.
so that others may also be inspired to commit that sin too, and so that others may see you in a sinning position too.
Yapmayanlara da zulüm ederler.
And those who do not commit a sin in today's world are forced and oppressed to commit sins.
Sen ne için yapmıyorsun, günah işlemiyorsun bu.
And people are being questioned, why don't you commit a sin? Why don't you do what we do?
Kötü hallere girmiyorsun.
Why don't you do those bad things we do? Why don't you put yourself into the state we are in? They force others.
İnsanlığa uymayan haysiyete, utanç diye bir şey bırakmayan günahlara ne girmiyorsa diye
Why don't you commit sins like us? Why don't you do those things which have made us become without honor, without dignity? Why don't you commit those despicable acts too?
zorlarlar.
Thus they force everyone.
İşte bu tam ortasındayız.
And we are now exactly within that time.
Hiç alakası olmayan şeylerin içine de o pislikleri bulaştırırlar.
Where people are forced to commit sins and where they try to blend in and mix in all kinds of sins in every thinkable way.
Başka şey olursa sen bu şeylere iyi şeyler karıştırıyorsun diye kızarlar.
They try to make badness to be present everywhere, and when you do something good, you're being blamed for your goodness.
Ama onların yaptıkları pislik haddi hududu çok aşmıştır.
But whenever it comes to doing bad things or evil things, there is no limit, and they have already trespassed any limit.
Onun için Allah muhafaza etsin.
May Allah Almighty therefore protect us.
Bunlardan razı değiliz.
We are not happy with what they do, and we are not satisfied with it.
Bunlar normal değil.
We do not approve of that, because those things are not normal.
Şimdi onlar normal olarak gösteriyorlar.
They try to represent it as something normal,
Ellerinden geldiği kadar
as much as they can.
bu kötü halleri insanlara gösteriyorlar,
They want to make people to approve of those bad things.
özendiriyorlar ya. Halbuki özendirme değil de insan iğreniyor.
And they want people to like those things, but these things are not something likable. Those are ugly things which are to be disliked.
Ya bu hallerden imanlısı imansızı bu hallerden iğreniyor.
These states are disliked not only by believers, but also by non-believers too.
Kaçmak istiyor.
And people want to get rid of those things.
Onlar iyi göstermek istiyorlar.
Nevertheless, they continue to represent those bad things and evil states as something good.
Allah Azze ve Celle tabi iyi insanın fıtratına koymuş. İyi olan şeyi insan fıtratındadır. Kötü şey de gene fıtratında.
Allah Almighty has created us in a way that we in our nature encompass both sides, the bad and the good.
Nedir iyi nedir kötü diye bilirler.
And there is a barrier in between both the bad and the good.
Onu ortadan kaldırmak istiyorlar ki
And they exactly know what that barrier is, and they want to remove that barrier
her şey normal.
so that everything becomes normal.
Her yaptıkları pislik normaldir.
So that all the badness they commit becomes normal.
Her yaptıkları kötülük normal olarak göstermek istiyor.
So that all their wrongdoings is to be considered normal.
Allah muhafaza etsin şerlerinden.
May Allah Almighty protect us from their evil.
Onlar Allah'ın gazabına nail olacaklar.
They are worthy of Allah Almighty's divine anger and wrath.
Gazaba, cezaya mustahak olacaklar.
And they have deserved the punishment and the wrath of Allah Almighty.
Allah muhafaza etsin.
May Allah Almighty protect.
Müslümanları büyüğünü, küçüğünü artık sırf küçük değil de büyükler de.
May Allah Almighty protect the Muslim community, small ones, adults.
Her şeyi mubah görüyorlar.
They make no exceptions, and whether children or adults, all Muslims are exposed to those bad things. and they make everything to be considered permissible and normal.
Allah muhafaza etsin.
May Allah Almighty protect us from that.
Allah nefsimizin şerrinden muhafaza etsin.
May Allah Almighty protect us all from the evil of our egos.
Ve min Allah tevfik. El Fatiha.